This is definitely one of the biggest jobs we've ever done here at DC Customs, with over 2,500 hours already put into this car. We've done a ton of work on it already, but now the bodywork is pretty much there and just needs final fettling. We're getting into all the smaller details, the mounting of everything, all the electrical components. The engine is now in the car. That's a whole story on its own. So yeah, it's getting interesting. So this interior is really coming together now and it's starting to look really, really cool. It's nice to see all the ideas finally coming together. We got the 14.6-inch Samsung tablet now mounted on the dashboard. A lot of the things in this car, the theme is going floating so that we don't see all the mounts basically. Everything electrically is going to be controlled by the tablet. So the engine start, you're going to have, probably still keep the ignition key as standard, just for kicks really. Electric window buttons are going to be on there. The sunroof, that's all going to be on there. The lot, you know, as much as we can. We've got about 18 relays, if I remember right, that we got. So there's a lot of components that we can get working from the tablet. That's all going to be split screen as well. So your speedo, tacho, oil temperature, oil pressure, boost pressure, all that, as much as we need and want, is going to be on either all of it. Or if you want the Google Maps, you can go split screen with Google Maps at the bottom, or it's going to control your music as well, which is going to Bluetooth to the stereo system, which is also going to be pretty kicker, which I've just started putting together with a full interior build now. That's got a hidden charger behind it as well, so you're not going to see any cables. That's really come together really, really well. So this dashboard is going to have a wooden inlay running all the length of that, and I think at the moment we're going to go for a painted dashboard just to keep the retro feel going. Steering wheel as well, we've actually mounted the seats, which we'll get into first actually. We've got the seat mounts down there. It's not exactly how we'd planned to do it at first, but because the seats need to be mounted quite low, because we've got these Recaro seats here, we're going to lose the headrests. The headrests won't be used. So you've got this nice detail at the top of them. We're going to accentuate the tops here with a little bit of extra foam. Super comfortable, but because they sit so low, we've had to modify the way we're going to do the seat mounts. So basically what we've done, we've got these bars running straight through the center transmission tunnel. So these need to be fully welded yet. They're welded from the inside. They need to be fully welded on the outside. Obviously skimmed in, that'll all be smoothed in, and literally they're going to look like they're floating. So when you see the seat from this side, although there's still extra work to be done, you're not going to see any seat mounts at all. We'll put some LED strip lights underneath there for that nice little glow. So when the carpet's on there, you open the door, you're going to have this nice little underglow from the seat, so you're not going to see the mounts at all. So again, that floating theme is just flowing throughout the car. Next thing we noticed when we put the steering wheel in here, once the seat was mounted, that the steering wheel, from standard, they're completely offset. You're sitting there and the steering wheel is like that. It just doesn't look right, it's not comfortable. We made the decision to modify the dashboard, because we've already got it all mounted in the standard position, moved it over 4 centimeters. So now the steering wheel is dead center. So that's all done as well. We've still got to get the new steering wheel. That's gonna be like a billet steering wheel. That's gonna look pretty trick, dead nice. Wipers normally are on a stalk on this car. We're going to have those controlled by the tablet as well. So we're going to modify this, smooth that over, so you've just got the indicator stalk as standard. B-posts, they're going to get trimmed as well. So we've done a little bit of smoothing work on those on the inside. That's all going to get trimmed up, obviously primed and finished. So yeah, interior's coming together now. Next thing I've got to do is start the interior build. We've got the base panels done. That's going to be a whole video of its own later down the line. It's probably easy a month's work to build this full interior. Base box alone is going to be mad, and that alone is over a week's work to build the base box. So that's going to be pretty tricky. check that out. Right, so here we have the Volkswagen air-cooled engine for the VW variant that we're building. Now, this is a turnkey engine. It's been bench run. It needs to be dynoed once the car's finished, and we've got the fuel in it that we'll be running the car on. Now, although this is a turnkey engine, we could literally throw it in, put all the hoses up, wire it in, all the rest of it, and just run it. But because the car is going to go a full show car, we're going to make this thing look even prettier and nicer. Now, we don't know exactly what we're going to do to it yet. Some of it's obvious though. Intake pipes, these are all aluminium. These all look really, really nice, fully polished. Now, the throttle bodies, because it's running fuel injection as well, these, they don't look pretty, if I'm honest. I think what we're going to end up doing is probably having the top of this milled off and all the rest of it sanded down and fully polished. That's what I can see happening done to those. This is adapted for a standard engine that would have heaters. We're not running heaters on this car as well. So there's a few holes to weld up. But in doing that, what we're probably doing is just cutting some of the timber off and just remaking it basically, because it's just easier. It's going to be a tight fit, and what I'm hoping that we don't have is a problem with the exhaust and the back valance and it looking ugly more than anything. Now, I'm pretty sure it's going to fit. We might have to do some clearancing, and I'm hoping we don't, but we might have to do some clearancing of the engine bay around the turbo, modify the exhaust slightly. We've got a little screamer pipe coming out the wastegate there, so that's going to sound really cool. It could run 280 brake horsepower, this engine. Yeah, I've been run between 220 and 280 brake, and that makes for a quick VW. It really does. Rear-wheel drive, all the weight's in the back end, so you get wicked traction off these things as well. So that's basically like putting an Impreza turbo engine in the back of a VW. Now, I've done that myself, and you're going to be pulling 12-second quarter miles with a car like that, so you can cruise at, if you wanted to, 80 miles an hour. The next thing for the engine, at least when we're ready for it, put it in the car, make sure we've got clearance everything, see what we're going to do to make it look pretty, take it back out of the car, strip it down, make it look super nice, ready for a final install. Engine's in. It was easy to get the engine in, but it doesn't fit basically with the throttle bodies and the exhaust because we've got a big fat turbo sticking down there. So if you have a look in here, you can see that these throttle bodies are a lot taller than we were expecting, and it just doesn't fit. The engine doesn't fit in the hole, basically. It's going to be a tight fit. You can see the throttle bodies. We've already cut the top off this one because we've got plans of how to fix it. So this was actually about 4 mil higher than that, so there's no way you could actually get the engine lid to even shut or even fit, plus with the width of it as well. So what we're going to do, tops cut off that. We've got new tops which are going to be sitting about 4 mil lower than this. We're also going to shave off a little bit of material from the bottom as well. What we're going to have to do, and this is the way we're going to get it to fit, because we need everything to drop down. We can't drop the engine lower because we're running air suspension and clearance issues with the sump and whatnot. So we're going to have to lower everything here. What we're going to do is cut 2.5 centimetres, about 25 mil, 20 mil, out the throttle bodies. So we're chopping the top of it off here, chopping it about there, and then we're going to re-weld at the top, back down here, lowering everything. That will give us just enough clearance for the fuel rail and the injectors. So that will allow this to sit just underneath this lip here, and so we can still shut the engine lid. So we're still going to have to cut this seal channel there, sort another little seal channel for there, so the engine lid will seal completely. Stops all the exhaust fumes and engine fumes from getting into the cab. That was the first hurdle that we've had to come across. The second one was, well, intake pipe as well. We're going to have to cut and section a little pipe down there. We've already chopped it out a little bit down there. We're putting a little recess into that area, a little room for that intake pipe. Also, that turbo, you can see there's no room. There is no room there at all for an exhaust. That is all the room that we've got. We can't even put a 90-degree fitting there, drop it down and put the exhaust at the floor. There's no room. It's a 3-inch exhaust. So what we're going to do, kind of a cool idea, the turbo is just a little bit lower than the centre line of the bumper. So what we're going to do is cut straight through and have the exhaust about that long, coming straight centre of the bumper even. I'm going to have to make an oval, something like that, nice oval looking chrome tailpipe, which is going to come straight through the centre of the bumper, so that when it's actually fitted, we're going to shape it with the bumper so that when it's all fitted and chromed, you can't actually see it. It's going to be really subtle. And then the exhaust is going to come straight out the turbo, angled slightly so it goes through the center of that, going from 3-inch round to oval. So we've got to make that section. We can buy parts, but we're gonna have to chop it up and make that special tailpipe, if you like. So the exhaust will be about that long straight out the turbo. So when it's done, it's going to look like the bumper spitting flames, which will look really cool. And there's other bits as well. We're going to tidy up some of the casting, some of the fan housing, get any holes on the fan housings that we don't need. They're going to get welded up to make this engine look as pretty as we can. Then we're going to get things polished up. Throttle bodies, once they're welded, we're going to get all those polished up. Just making sure everything looks show condition. So it's a lot more work than we expected. Plus engine brace doesn't fit either, because the intake, if you ever look down here as well, this is the other one, I forgot to mention this. Basically, the turbo could have done with sitting a lot in a different place, if I'm honest. But that's where the air filter goes, and it's basically hitting straight onto the engine brace bar. So the engine brace bar needs to be cut. That's going to come down with a 45 to point down. Air filter will be sitting above the gearbox at the back, but we're going to have to chop that engine brace and remake part of the engine brace as well. Remade to look like it was never done. So yeah, it's all good fun and games. Another huge job that's been done, and a massive modification that I've never seen done to a Type 3 variant before. And it's very much going across the kind of the Pro Street American kind of look. They're doing it to all the Camaros, you know, all the muscle cars out there. Is flush fit windows to give this thing a more modern look. So the sides weren't so bad to do. We were always going to go for the one-piece windows. That's been done or modified for a while now, but what we've done is squared off all the edges, all the rear quarters, even the boot. Everything has been squared off. What we're going to be doing there is getting custom fit glass with the black border around it. They're going to be bonded in. Now, they're going to be bonded in just shy of the edge, very much like a standard car, probably with a little seal around the edge, 3 or 4 mil seal, exactly like you'd see on a modern car. And then the inner edge, we're going to have to make a trim, which will get trimmed in probably Alcantara to match the interior. That will get put around the outside, the inside, so that you don't see the back edge of the bond, basically to cover everything and basically just cover trims. So that's all going to get done. One-piece glass for the front. Again, that was always part of the plan from the start, but we've squared off this door now just to match all the rest. Back one has been done as well. We'd originally planned to have an opening back window, but because at the shows that's always going to be up to show off the engine and the boot build, you're never actually going to see it. So we decided to go flush fit glass with that as well. Biggest one is the front. So we've gone flush fit glass with the front as well, but we've also had to remake the A-posts. So inside and outside, modified that just so that it looks neat from the inside. We didn't want to create cover trims for the inside around the 8-post. It was just too awkward to do. So new 8-post cover trims have completely been custom made from scratch. All this has been done, all the top modified, all the back, all the front, all that's been done and blended into the top of the dashboard as well. So there's a lot been going on with that. There's a whole load of work, but that is going to look super, super slick when it's done. We've also got rid of the rain gutter, the drip rail that ran down the 8-post and blended that in there. Got that perfect gap there as well. Normally that gap is a lot tighter for whatever reason than all the rest of them. So we've got the same gap ring all the way around the outside of the door now, which is, again, it's more apparent. You see a lot clearer now that we've got rid of that drip rail. And to be fair with the drip rail, when you looked at this car, you got a drip rail sitting out there. It just looked like got flaps on the side of the car. It just didn't look right. So we literally got rid of those, smoothed it all in, and just give that car a much, much more modern look to it. All the drip rail around the car as well, that's all been panel beaten, straightened up. That's all perfect now. Lots have been going on. All the detail work, basically, getting everything mounted. The front has had more work. The sides have been blocked. We've got a little bits of filler here, there, and everywhere that just needs finishing. Ready for that final primer. So yeah, lots going on. Lots more to do. Loads left on the interior to do, which is going to be, I think that'll probably be the next video on this. At the minute, we've got 3 of us on it, really trying to kick a load of work out on this. So yeah, it's getting good. So don't forget, subscribe if you like what you see, because there's a whole lot more coming on this one.